So, Arthur, I don't know if you've heard these stories. This is before the world went high tech, but especially right after the Iron Curtain fell, and there was revolution and chaos. These Russian gangs would come into towns, and they would just squat on the house. They would remove all the things personal, and when the families would come back in, they'd say, what are you doing in my house? And the Russian gang would say, well, I don't know, this is our house. Do you have paperwork? Do you have anything to prove it? Well, the bank had been burned down. Everything had been burned and destroyed. Yep. And people lost their house and they had no way to go. This is happening now, not with high-tech criminals, but with low-tech criminals with people's houses here, right?
Yes, every day. It's a constant problem. And if you aren't on your game, and it happens to you, you are in for a financial and emotional nightmare of the first order.
So how does it normally present itself?
House stealing really is a situation where, and I first heard that phrase actually from the FBI, they coined it, I believe. House stealing is when people change the name on your title from your name to their name. They'll be using a false identity. And once they have filed that document, then they've changed the name on the property, and that false identity owns your property, and you're off.
How do they do that?
They fill out a document. They download a document from the internet, fill it out in a false identity, and when they file it, they're going to forge your name as part of the transaction. They'll file it with the county recorder's office, and once they've filed it, they're now the owner of record. And they will go out.
There's no signature. There's nothing official that needs to happen.
That document is official. It's going to be a notarized document, and if all the blanks are filled in, the county recorder here in Dallas County, for instance, is required to file that document. Period.
Right. So, but you need a notary to do that.
No, you need a notary stamp. You can get a notary. I got yours in 2 days.
What do you mean you got mine?
I ordered a notary stamp for the Texas notary. Yeah, I got it in 2 days.
You don't live in Texas.
They sent it to my house in California.
And you don't need anything to get the stamp?
Just an internet connection.
Okay.
But you got to be willing to forge some names and commit wire fraud, mail fraud, and all those things before breakfast. These guys don't care.
Right.
And they don't want your house. They want the money. And they'll do what they have to do. And this is really simple. It's easier than stealing your car, quite frankly, with less risk.
I even brought some paperwork with me to show you how easy it is to do. I did this in literally 10 minutes yesterday. I chose someone with the last name Beck here in Dallas County, and I downloaded this form from the internet. It's a quitclaim deed form. It's 2 pages. I found the owner of the property. I took a screenshot of their signature off the internet, traced it right here onto this paper.
Let me see. So you didn't use mine because you didn't have my address, or you didn't know?
Well, and I don't want your viewers to see it. Okay. I didn't want to put you out there that publicly. Okay. So I just chose someone with the same last name. Literally, all that's left to do with that paperwork is take Art's little stamp it, $30 to record that 2-page document. Oh,
wait.
There you go.
Where does that go?
It goes right here.
And this is what you just bought online.
Yeah, I bought that on the internet the other day.
Now, I could take this now, file it.
For $30.
And I own their house.
Well, technically Art does. I used Art as
my
the
name
criminal
in there
here.
To get you off the hook and put me on the hook, I guess.
Now Art owns that house.
They file that, and then they go get somebody to do a drive-by appraisal, and they start taking out loans using the equity in that property. And that house
they get the money.
They get the money.
They cash it. They disappear.
Yeah.
And you're stuck with the bill.
Correct.
Someone's going to knock on your door when that bill comes due and say, you haven't paid this loan, and we're going to foreclose on this house, and we're going to take you to court, and we're going to sell it. And it happens all the time.
You guys have the only verified database of like 97% of all mortgages or all homes and titles.
All title records.
Title records.
Yep.
So it's not like you have to go someplace else and verify the title. You are the keepers of those titles.
Correct.
Correct. Our software is monitoring them for you 24/7, and you're notified the minute it detects any new documents being recorded against your property address, or however many properties you have with us. It will be scanning them all individually.
And it's worse if you don't know it right away?
Oh,
Of course, yes.
the nightmare just begins. Last year, a woman in South Florida woke up, police were banging on her door one morning. It was the sheriff's department, and they were wearing their vests. I mean, it's a very emotional time when you throw somebody out of the house. 60 years old, the house had belonged to her parents, and she inherited it from them. They told her she was being evicted, and they took all her stuff and put it plastic bags and put it out at the curb. She had no place to go. She lived in a park for 7 months before a legal aid society came and finally got her house back.
7 months she lived in a
She
park?
lived in a park, across from her house almost. She could see the house.
This isn't high crime. This is done by, if you just know where to get the documents, just online.
You don't have to leave your mother's, cellar.
Wow.
And there are so many different ways this crime can happen. I've heard so many cases, pretty much on a daily basis. I'll hear some story from someone. They're all different. Ideally, you have to still transfer the title over. That's how it all starts. But there are so many different ways that this crime can occur. Think about a joint tenancy deed with your elderly parent. Someone knows that they are failing in health. They sign off on the joint tenancy deed, and it's just sitting there. When, sadly, grandma passes away, that person comes back and said, oh, we owned the house together, and now it's mine. You have no idea, because you didn't know that document was recorded, that they were now joint tenants with grandma's house.
You look at the losses from identity theft. The average now, because all the algorithms they had and everything, it's like maybe $1,300, $1,400, if that, maybe less. On title theft, the average now is about $103,000. So it's not a small crime. And I've seen them for $600,000 or $700,000.
You ever catch the guys? They ever catch the guys?
Occasionally.
Sometimes.
They're not.
It takes a long time.
Every once in a while, there's a stupid one that makes us look good.
Right.
But most of the time, they're using a false identity. And if you look at the document that you just tore up, there's a section there right after you fill out the name at the top that says, where do you want documents sent? Well, they don't send them to you or your house. They send them some mail drop someplace. So you never get into the chain of what's happening on your property unless you have our service. I hate to say this, that will tell you right away.
Last question. The number of cases that come to you that have the service that don't get solved, that don't get their house back.
Oh boy, I would have no idea.
Hasn't happened to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I've been with them a year and a half. And we haven't had any of our clients defrauded.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. We have had people sign up and find out they had a problem, because part of what we do when we sign someone up with our services, they get a history of their title for free. That is, some people just like to have that chain of title just so they know who's owned their home previously. But also we want to make sure that you're not already starting with a problem. So if something's not correct, if you are not the registered owner on that home, we want to know it and start working on getting that resolved right away. We've had quite a few people that have realized that something was wrong, either with a loan that was on there that shouldn't be, or the title was in the wrong name. There have been all kinds of...
They had no idea.
And they had no idea until they signed up and they got their history, and they call us and go, what's going on? And then we walk them through how to get that resolved.
Stu told me about this, then Pat told me about this, and they raved. They were like, no, Glenn, you have to have this. I wanted to invite you on the program because
We appreciate
because
it.
of them, and I wanted to hear it from you guys myself, because I will sign up and be a customer.
Rhonda came to me. The first thing I did when I looked at the company, the old FBI DNA kicked in. First thing I did was sign up my house and my daughter's house, because I realized that we were vulnerable, and I felt, I slept better that night.
Yeah.
I really did.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this is really fun. I appreciate it. It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.